You know, down here, there where it shows the volume thingy, it looks like it's an X.
I know, that's what I was.
Like X'd out. The bottom of the screen.
Right there.
Things going.
This is 100%.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Say something?
Oh, we had an
Hello?
early meeting today,
You had it muted
Okay,
or
there we go.
something.
and
Yeah.
we all had to mute.
Oh.
That's right.
So you guys can hear us now?
We can.
And we are live.
Thank you. Just give us 1 second.
You're not from the country.
Oh, okay. All of you.
Or what's that? Oh, yeah, you told me.
Yeah. After the second, after the actual council. Yeah, but I can do
We're just holding on. Sylvia, she walked out for 1 second.
You have to wait for her.
She has to. I think she's getting me the number for the executive session.
Oh, yeah.
Laura, you're gonna sell the food by the pound?
Yep.
No, way in and way out.
Yeah, I'll weigh in and weigh out.
Works for me. Probably cheaper that way.
I told him, you're so lucky that the homeless people don't realize that, they have power and water in that building.
I told you that they live in that one over here.
I know. No, they ran them out.
When?
Yeah. Couple weeks
Recently?
ago, yeah. Thank you, ma'am.
Between tent and the other day when I went back.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and start this city council study session, Tuesday, May 11, 2021 at 6:02. We have no new business, old business, I'm sorry. Okay, new business. First thing we'll do is Officer Martin here.
Yeah. Because kids within there.
Oh, okay.
Huh?
Timing. You're gonna want us to come up there.
Yeah, so they
Yes.
can see from the, just like right up here in front, chief, so they'll be able to see you.
Kids can get by.
Chief, you're gonna have to
Yeah,
sit
well,
in front
okay.
because you're not on the camera.
Yeah.
Really wanted to use that podium.
Oh, we can move it.
I could-
I was gonna say.
I was gonna tell my mom I was a preacher, she would have been very happy.
She would've got excited.
She would have been really, she would much rather see me be a preacher than a police officer.
Okay, so we're gonna start with recognizing Officer Martin for winning a life-saving award. Once again, one of our police officers saved a life, and we're very, very happy that he's here, that he could do that for us. So I'll go ahead and let you.
So I want to thank the council for giving us a chance to talk to you tonight. I just want to tell you a little story. I used to work with a guy who, he had about 24, 25 saves in his career where he had saved that many people's lives. And when he retired, there was not a single mention of it when he retired. And I always thought that's unbelievable to me. He didn't have a single accommodation or award for saving lives. And I don't think that's right, because, you know, his kids should know when they grow up what their dad did and all the incredible things that they did. So, and that's where it's really lost, is, you know, the kids deserve that. So I want to make sure that that didn't happen here with our officer. So we're gonna have Officer Martin come up here, and we're gonna give him life-saving award. And if you'd like to read it, Mayor.
Okay.
Would you like that?
FYI, usually I read in advance. This award is presented to Officer Kenny Martin in recognition of his efforts above and beyond the call of duty. On October 10th, 2020, Officer Kenny Martin assisted the Yakima County Sheriff's Office with an unresponsive male who had overdosed on narcotics. Officer Kenny Martin assisted the deputy with removing the male from his semi. Officer Kenny Martin performed CPR, resulting in the male subject regaining consciousness as well as breathing on his own. As a result of Officer Kenneth Martin's actions, the male subject survived. Officer Kenny Martin's actions reflect the highest commitment to excellence in police work.
It took us so long because of COVID to get the medal to actually have to make those. And it took that long, what is that, 8 months to get the medal.
Yeah.
But we really appreciate what you did
Definitely.
and what you do every day. And you're just an outstanding representation of what we expect. And this is your award, and obviously you can take that home and we'll get a copy of that for your personal file and everything.
Definitely.
But very special. I really appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
And
you,
just
sir.
keep the good work up.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Let's see
sir.
if we can exit here without.
Do the guys feel all right?
Yep.
Yes.
And for the record, I'd like
Thank you.
to thank Kenny's
Thank
family
you.
because, a wife of a police officer, I mean, it's got to be difficult. So, thank you, Kenny, but also thank your family for supporting you.
Thank you.
They're right here.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and move on. Okay, discussion of ordinance 2021-1172, regulating temporary use of the city mapped-in fire hydrants by private persons and rental of meters and monitor water consumption for the fire hydrants. So we're just going to discuss this today. We don't have anything in our ordinances or anything like that. We got a lot of people wanting to use our water, and we have this special monitor that we use to say how much water is being pumped out the hydrants at the time. And really, we don't have, let them borrow it, bring it back. So they're wanting to do. So if you guys want to go to page 13.
I thought we already had this in our system because we went over this before, and that we were going to charge somebody from outside if they wanted to use the meter and everything. Is that correct?
Correct. But what, from my understanding, Mark, the reason that we're redoing it is because there's some of the things we didn't put in, like something with the amount of the water that they're using. That water amount, the money amount of it is lower than what everybody else is paying. So that has to be brought up to what everybody else is paying. Because right now what's going on is our people are paying a certain rate, but if somebody comes in and they need to use our water and they hook up to our hydrants and we monitor the water, they are charged a lesser rate than what we are charged. So we have to change that. So they're charged the same rates that we're charged. Am I correct, Sylvia?
Oh, yeah,
Something
but
to that.
It's a permit. We only have for the deposit, and we're gonna add a deposit. And so Jameson has the original ordinance, correct, Jameson?
I do, and I just want to say, I don't know what happened with your guys' speaker, but the audio from the council chambers is pretty quiet. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure what happened down there. I can barely hear you.
I thought they were gonna actually be paying more than what we pay.
So
That was my understanding from when we set all this stuff up last time. Maybe you guys have an old ordinance, but I remember going through this before, and setting everything up to where it was going to be working good for the city, not necessarily for somebody that wanted to come in, you know, and use our water.
I think you might be talking, Mark, about like an outside use rate for people who hook up to our system but don't live in city limits. And we do charge that at 150%. This is separate. This is like when somebody comes.
Use a fire hydrant. Is
Right.
that correct?
So,
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Because I know
yeah,
we went over that before.
we couldn't find anything in the records that have changed or adjusted those rates since 1976. So every time you guys have done the water rates, you've changed all the rates except for this bulk water rate. So right now we charge like a very, very tiny amount for that. And so it hasn't been increased at all since then. And in addition, we don't charge like a damage deposit. Are you guys having trouble hearing me in the council chambers? Because I can't hear you, but I hear, okay. It looks like there was somebody talking. Okay, so anyway, we don't charge any kind of damage deposit, and our monthly rental fee, I think, is like $2.50. And I apologize for not being more prepared because I did not have this ordinance in front of me. But this is just, since we are having community development going on, it's something we definitely need to look at, because right now we are allowing construction companies to use our bulk water at a rate less than cost.
No.
Wow.
I want to see, when I worked here, we had a chart that we went off of. We weren't charging deposit for the meter or anything, but there was a charge for the amount of water that they were using, and it was higher than the regular charge.
Right.
Like you said earlier.
I remember that.
I was working here then too.
So, and we haven't had a rate increase in that since, that's what.
No, but she said it was, as she defined anything that to the present, but she found something that was back in what, 1976, you said?
Correct.
Yeah, but no, there should be a new one. I know
Yeah.
there was.
Yep.
Yes,
That's when we talked about it.
yes.
Yep. Because I know we were going to charge for the meter. We were going to charge for them to borrow our meter. And then that way we can keep track on how many gallons are going out. And that was going to be at a decent rate. Plus, the rate was going to be higher than obviously our rates because they're out of town.
Yeah.
The construction company.
No, we didn't have deposit.
Yeah.
I don't know if we did have a deposit or not. Yeah, I believe we did talk about a deposit for them to borrow that meter and hook it up to the fire hydrant and use our water. Yes, I believe we did. It's got to be back in the minute.
All right, well, I'm glad that we brought, because this is just discussion. We're just discussing it. So we'll look into it. We'll see if we can find something. I know that the girls have been looking and they didn't find anything. But if you are,
and I believe it's been within your term.
Else, maybe it's not underneath like hydrant, or maybe it's under something else, and they just got to find out what it is.
Pipe out here that we used to measure water, people used to get water out of, do we still use that?
Which one?
It used to be right out here where they put their truck in.
Oh, no, we don't use that
That's
one.
gone?
Yeah, we disconnected that one.
Okay, because I know we talked.
That's
about
when
that.
that's when we went out and got meters to hook up to the hydrants, so people can come and hook up and get it, so we can charge and meter the water usage.
Okay, ladies, so if you could just check on this, see if, we overlooked something from 1976 till now. You got a time frame, because Mara was here, so you should have a time frame to try and find it. Okay?
Thank you.
Is there anything else on this, you guys? Okay, we'll go ahead and move on. Discussion of resolution 2021-08, approving renewal of the small works roster, integrity agreement with the Department of General Administration, and authorizing the mayor to sign the agreement. That's 15 to 20. This is Just the contract that we have to sign every once in a while to be a part of the small works roster. And just to remind you that the small works roster is what we use when we're going to do a big job in town. We have to go off of that small work roster we have to use the people on that work roster. So this is just redoing the contract with them, stating that we're going to use their small work roster. And it's something we do every year.
Yeah.
So you guys have any questions on this?
No.
No? Okay. Okay, so we'll go on to the water rate update. Jameson?
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up with you guys after last council meeting because I really wasn't prepared to talk about water rates at that meeting, but I have done a little bit more research into that and looking at those rates. And so I kind of wanted to get your feedback on how you wanted me to approach it. We do need to do a full rate study and adjust the rates because like I said before, our expenses are outpacing our revenues in the water fund. I didn't know, based on our conversation, if you guys wanted to continue just increasing base rates as much as we could, or if you do want to look at increasing usage. And this, I want to talk about it separate from that whole other sewer conversation. So basically, let me see, I don't have, our basic shortfall is right around right now $60,000. So there's several ways we can approach increasing $60,000, anywhere between increasing the base, increasing everything by a percentage, or just increasing the usage. So I got more solid numbers on that, but I haven't had time to pull it by account. But I did take a look at how much it would cost, like how much we could increase the usage by to make up that. And we would have to increase usage costs or rates by 49% in order to make up that $60,000. So that's a pretty big jump, but considering that we, like I said last time, we had increased the base rate by 150% and only increased the usage rate by 40%. I mean, we're still not completely caught up with where we've gotten with the base rates. So that's where I'm at. I just wanted to give you an update and let you know where I'm at with this. And if you guys had an interest in increasing the usage rates as the main function of increasing the revenues, or if you wanted to continue with the previous path of increasing the base rate. I'm happy to take your feedback or questions.
Well, we're gonna have to do an increase, I think, because we're never gonna catch up if we don't. We have to do it. We don't have a choice, really.
Right.
That's my opinion. I don't know what your opinion is.
Well, I understand that we need to, but when we're hitting our citizens hard.
Yeah, 50%,
Yeah.
another 50%, that is just crazy.
Yeah. I don't know.
And 50%, you tell us 50%, but that doesn't tell us what it is in numbers. We need numbers.
So
Yeah.
Jameson, what would that be for the water rate? What is it like base rate right now? And then what would base rate water be after that?
50%, maybe 90%.
Well, the base rate, like the increase by 50%, that's just on the usage, the excess usage. So for a hold on, let me plug this in. I was hoping to get this like fully prepared so I could share it with you guys, but I just didn't quite get there. So if we took like the median user, give or take, let me see. Sorry, I really was trying to get this ready for you guys and so much stuff came up. So 111,
Most of that stuff was me.
1.
Jameson.
So our median user at our base rate right now with no change is $848 a year, okay? So if we were to increase by that 50%, that would bring that median user to $919.77 a year. So it would be an increase of about $60 per year.
Throughout a year.
But
Throughout
that's for
the
the
year.
year, okay. That's
the
not
year.
as bad as,
So $60 through the year, 12
Yeah.
months.
But I mean, the main portion of where the people are going to feel that is over the summer when you're using more water. So it's not going to be, when we increase usage rates, it'll hit people a little harder in the summer, but they won't feel it at all, in the winter months. So.
As long as you don't go over your base rate.
Right.
Because the base rate's gonna pretty much stay the same. Is that what I'm understanding? It's the.
Correct.
It's the
If we
rate
did
after
only the
base rate.
usage portion.
Right.
So-
So it won't raise if you're still at base rate. Is that what I'm getting?
Correct.
Like your bill won't raise if you use minimum consumption. It'll only raise if you go above minimum consumption, right? And then the rate goes up, is paid on that portion.
And then, to revisit like the high users, like the school district, with this percentage, it's closer to about $13,000 difference for like the high school field. So it's a significant increase for this, but our high users are pretty much the school district, Northwest Horticulture, just for a couple of months though, so they're not super impacted. Really, it's the school district that makes up that high usage.
hey, Jameson, but isn't any residents high users that's gonna affect them quite a bit?
Yeah, the high users that are residents will be affected more significantly, not by thousands. I can tell you, hold on one second, I can tell you like what a high user would
The
be.
problem if we raise it for just the users, the ones who are taking care of the yards and watering, they're gonna let it go and it's gonna look, Matthew's gonna look horrible.
I don't know, because we've really been getting on people about yards and about.
But you
Yeah, but if
can't
the
do
water-
anything, you can't do anything to people if they don't want grass, so they want to live with dirt around them, what are you
Yeah,
gonna do?
right.
That's their
Yeah.
property.
Yeah, especially if the rates are
And my
outrageous.
bill was $250 or 200, I think 250, 250, this month already.
Yeah, they're going up.
So mine's
If anybody
already-
has a decent, right, that's what I'm worried about, if it has a decent yard and plants, and
No.
stuff, they're just gonna go even more and they're gonna just quit too.
Yeah, I think so too, some of them will.
And I think the people are gonna wanna know what their,
Where they're
well,
gonna,
how much on a monthly basis
Right, that's
compared
what-
to a yearly.
Right.
They wanna know how much more is
Well, you
gonna
just have
be
to
on.
divide that by 12,
yeah.
but this is.
But they're not gonna be looking at that. All they're gonna see is the raise, that the water rates are gonna go up.
Exactly. So if you can figure something out for
they don't look at
residential
the
high users,
sewer,
Jameson.
So
They don't-
like a high residential user would be going up by approximately $290 a year. So that's like your person who uses a lot of water for a single resident.
$4.16 a month.
200, oh yeah, probably.
If you divide
Yeah,
that
give or
into
take.
12 months, $24.
If you went, yeah,
Well, look at it that way, it's not so bad.
right. And the thing is, I feel like it's a more fair way to charge because you're actually charging not just everybody for having access to the services, you're actually charging based on how much water is going through our system, which is what puts the pressure on the infrastructure, the pipes, what costs money for the chlorine, those kinds of things, which are going to be those things that affect us in the long term as equipment breaks down. Or, we have to replace a main. The larger users put much more strain on the system in general.
We'll have baskets of flowers for sale when our water goes up, okay? It's gonna be interesting. That's our problem. at my houses, because we love the flowers
We
and
do
stuff.
too.
That's our problem.
Flowers, yeah.
Yeah.
Do we have a lot of high usage people?
I can try, I can get that information for you on a percentage. I don't have it available right now.
How much is
I've
it?
been working really hard on this for the last 2 weeks. It's just very complex, so I apologize for not having more information. I really was trying to get it.
What was that amount again for high usage residential yearly again? 290?
Yeah, 290.
So
Yeah.
if we raise it, we can let residents know, and we can try to explain it to them, 290 per year. That's for
Yeah,
high usage residential
2416
a month.
a month.
And I mean, we could do other things to encourage water conservation. I know there might be organizations out there that help encourage things like that. When I worked in a different city, they were giving away like low flow shower heads. And I know they received them from an organization for water conservation. So there's different things that we could look into that could help residents conserve water in other ways that would keep those rates lower for people, to encourage them to become more efficient in their usage. So
A few years ago, Pacific Power sent a kit to everybody.
Just thinking about
So
that.
every resident, they sent, I don't remember, got that. And then you can buy extras if you needed to. I bought extras.
The school gave them out one year.
Oh, really?
Chief, you raised your hand. Did you
Oh,
have something?
yeah. How much more would that cost the school district each year? Do you know?
Just on the one service, it was 13,000. I think their other service was less than that, but I didn't take that one down. Like I say, I'm kind of halfway through the process. I kind of probably bit off more than I could chew, thinking I could get this all prepared for you guys. But hopefully at the next meeting, I can have those more specifics for you. But before I put in hours and hours and hours and hours of work, it doesn't make sense if you're completely not interested in messing with it right now. So
We have to be interested. We just need to know how much of a burden we're gonna, how much of an increase you want to do.
I mean-
For the burden we're gonna do on the residents.
We know that it has to be done in order to keep us above water. You
Yeah,
know,
right,
because
right
we
now
can't be a
It's really
sinking ship.
sad.
Right, maybe we just don't want to do 49% off the bat. you
Right.
know, Depending on the rates.
So, I think then if we look at this independently, then maybe what we could look at also is creating maybe another rate category, as I talked about before, for like high consumption for like the school district. Perhaps there's a bulk user rate we could potentially put into place. But as I said before, that is going to diminish our increases that are going to cover those costs too. So if you guys are on board with this, I would like to pursue looking at a mix between adjusting the rate structure, potentially increasing the base by a very small amount for some of the people that have a larger meter, and then increasing the usage to make up for that. So if you guys are comfortable with that sort of track, that means that I wouldn't exceed for those high usage people what I just gave to you. You know, I would just try to balance it out across
What do
the
you guys think?
spectrum.
So let's go down the line. Judy, what are you thinking about this?
I just have a question. So for seniors, let's say there's just one person, are they gonna be paying the senior amount? Or is there gonna go also different amount? on
Well,
the
right
senior?
now, we wouldn't even be changing that at all. But there is not a different amount right now for usage for seniors versus everybody else. The only rate that is lowered for seniors is the base rate. So that would add another level of complexity if you wanted to look at having a separate usage rate for senior and low income as well.
I think,
Stay the same,
right,
just the base.
yeah, because, I mean, the way you explained it to us, most seniors will only
Yeah.
play the base rate anyway, so they won't go up.
Okay.
Because you have to hit that threshold before the charges start hitting it.
Oh, okay.
Once you hit your minimum consumption, that's when the charges start occurring, not until that point.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay, so let's start again. Tootie, what are you thinking?
No comment as of now.
Okay, what about you, Vera?
I know we have to do something, Jamerson, and I appreciate what you're doing, so I'm putting my trust in you, lady.
Okay. Sophie,
Me too.
Diana,
We don't have a choice, we need to.
Okay,
and we really do trust.
okay.
Mark, what are you thinking, Mark?
Yeah, we need to look at it. We just need to have some numbers in front of us
Yeah.
to actually base it on. So yeah, no, we need to do something about it.
Absolutely. And I am a big believer in transparency, so I want to get this information as clear for you guys as soon as I can so that you have time to really look over it. So I will continue working that direction then.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jameson.
Thank you, Rick
Thank
Jameson,
you.
for all you're doing for us.
Very good job.
Do we have Representative Jeremy on yet?
So far, he has not joined us.
Okay.
So I don't know if we want to wait.
Yeah, let's just wait a few minutes. Hey, Jameson, why don't you, while we have a minute, why don't you tell him about the money for the water bills that we've received?
Sure. So as I mentioned at the last council meeting, the organization from Sunnyside, Nuestra Casa, reached out to the city because they had been given a chunk of money to help pay utility bills for people. And so initially we worked with them just to kind of get them a list of individuals who we knew were struggling based on their payment history and how much past due that they were. And they attempted to reach out to as many people as they could, but they weren't getting any response. So they actually agreed that they would just want to pay a bunch of people's bills without even having their personal information or anything. So they came to the city, came to me and said, we have this dollar amount. We want to pay the residents that have the most outstanding bills. And so I was able to put a list together for them of people that had been attempting to make payments ever since COVID, that had good payment history, but were more than 6 months past due. And Nuestra Casa came in and gave us a check for $25,000 and paid off 12 families' utility bills. So everyone in town that had bills that were more past due than 6 months and had been making an effort to pay their bills has had their bills paid off by Nuestra Casa.
So it did go to people that were paying even a little bit on the bills?
Correct.
Yeah,
Ryan.
yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I wanted.
Right. Not people who weren't
So
paying.
it was 12 accounts and $24,000,
It was,
$25,000.
and actually between that and the residents from the previous list that they were able to get in contact with, it was a total of 16 households and $30,000 that Nuestra Casa paid in utility accounts to the citizens. So it was great. I mean, I can't believe it. I was almost brought to tears just that an organization would come up and do that, because I mean, we all know how much people struggle around here. So it gives it's pretty amazing.
That's good.
I think, is a representative coming on now? I thought I
Yes,
saw
he
him
is
pop on.
here, so we can give over to him.
Good evening, Representative.
Good evening.
Jeremy, it was called Jeremy, so it's really nice to have you here, and so we'll just let you take the floor, sir.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity to come and visit here in the middle of your meeting tonight. Thank you. It's great to see you all, even if it's over a computer screen. I know a lot of you made the trek over to Olympia last year, and I sure appreciated that opportunity to visit with you in person in our state's capital. Unfortunately, that wasn't an option this year, but I'm confident and optimistic that we'll be able to do that again very soon. But I wanted to just give you a quick brief on the legislative session that ended 2 weeks ago. There were some things that happened there in Olympia that will have a pretty significant impact on our cities, especially cities in our rural areas like Mabton. And most of them were concerning. There were a couple positive things, however. One I'll mention is House Bill 1137, which elevated road maintenance and preservation in transportation budget funding, and that includes at the local level. So one thing that we really worked hard to do with that bill was to make sure that folks are getting, the municipalities especially our small cities are getting more road dollars without having to raise taxes at the local level. That's a priority of mine. And I know a lot of you are focused on preserving and maintaining the roads there in Mabton as well. So it'll probably take a year or so for that to filter out into budget items. This was a policy bill, but I'm optimistic that will come forward, and we'll keep pressing on that important issue. One thing that was pretty concerning that I think will have a significant impact on Mabton in the years to come is that all drugs, hard drugs, were legalized in the state of Washington. The Blake decision, they were totally decriminalized, and the legislature passed a bill that made it a misdemeanor for until 2023, and then it goes back to being decriminalized again. I think that was really problematic and the wrong approach. I'm not sure why we're taking tools away from law enforcement in their efforts to keep our community safe, and really created a situation that I think is unsustainable, where someone who's 15, 16 years old, they're breaking the law if they have a beer in their hand or they're smoking a cigarette, but not if they have cocaine or heroin or meth. So just something to be aware of that's coming down. I know a lot of communities are passing their own ordinances, and there'll be some challenges around that, and if cities are allowed to do it. But I know a lot of folks are kind of preemptively talking about that in city council chambers around the state in anticipation of that change that's currently in law will take effect on 2023. So all those are two things that, one good, one bad. And I won't take too much more of your time, but if you have any questions, I'd be happy to do my best to answer them. And again, thank you for the opportunity to be here. My legislative assistant, Alec, is on as well, and we're back in district here and available anytime you want to visit with us. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You guys have any questions? The council have questions for him? No? Nope, I think you're doing an amazing job, Jeremy. Thank you very much for your service to our state and to our little cities.
Well, you're welcome, and thank you all for your service. It's an important job as a former council member myself in SELA. I appreciate what you're doing and the hard work and the long hours that it takes. A lot of times folks are not aware of how hard it is and to do what you do. So thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a good
you.
evening.
Jeremy. Thank you.
Thanks, Jamie.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Okay, well, if that's, we have no executive session, and so, no, we're gonna do it at council. Yeah, council. Okay, so we'll go ahead and adjourn this meeting at 6:37.